Popeye's Louisiana kitchen has been slapped with a lawsuit accusing the chain of using unsafe meat here in Ontario.
The average American eats at Popeyes around 18 times a year. That's like inviting the Louisiana kitchen over for dinner once every 3 weeks, wearing that signature orange and red uniform and promising authentic Cajun flavors. But before you start craving that chicken sandwich that broke the internet, there's something you should probably hear. Remember when your health teacher said you are what you eat? If that's the case, then a lot of us are talking deep fryers covered in artificial Cajun seasoning and mystery preservatives. Last week, I found a leftover Popeyes biscuit in my glove compartment from, wait for it, 3 weeks ago. The scary part? It looked exactly the same as the day I bought it. No mold, no strange smell. My homemade buttermilk biscuits start growing their own science experiments after just 4 days. A real buttermilk biscuit has about 6 ingredients: flour, buttermilk, butter, baking powder, salt, maybe a touch of sugar if you're feeling fancy. But Popeye's biscuit recipe reads more like a chemistry lab manual than a grandmother's cookbook. We're talking dozens of preservatives, emulsifiers, and artificial flavors that sound like they came out of a pharmaceutical factory, not a Louisiana kitchen. Let's talk about those famous biscuits that everyone raves about. Popeyes guards their preparation like it's a state secret, but the list of actual ingredients used in their kitchens isn't as mysterious as they'd like you to believe. We're talking sodium aluminum phosphate, calcium propionate, and datum, words you can't pronounce unless you have a chemistry degree. The biscuits themselves arrive at restaurants as frozen dough pucks, preformed and loaded with enough chemicals to survive a nuclear winter. A former Popeyes baker told me that the butter they brush on top isn't butter at all. It's a combination of margarine, artificial butter flavoring, and something called butter powder that comes in industrial-sized containers. But what really gets me is how those biscuits manage to stay so consistent. Every Popeyes, every state, the same fluffy texture, the same golden color, the same buttery taste. It's like they cloned the perfect biscuit. A friend of mine who worked in food manufacturing said the goal is uniformity, not quality. That means every bite is engineered to be identical, down to the moisture content of the dough. Real food doesn't work that way. If you made 10 biscuits at home, no two would be exactly the same. One might be a little fluffier, one a little more golden. But Popeyes? It's like someone 3D printed a biscuit and then mass-produced it in a factory assembly line. And let's not even get started on the chicken. That famous Louisiana-style seasoning that supposedly makes everything taste authentic? Multiple former employees have revealed that the chicken arrives pre-marinated in a sodium solution designed to plump it up and extend its shelf life. One said the chicken felt spongy, not like real chicken, and had this weird artificial smell that wasn't bad, just unnatural. But it's not just the preparation. Health inspection reports from multiple Popeyes locations show recurring issues, including improper storage temperatures, cross-contamination between raw and cooked foods, and staff failing to wash hands between handling different ingredients. In one case, a Louisiana location was cited for keeping cooked chicken at unsafe temperatures for nearly 3 hours during lunch rush. That famous chicken sandwich that had people waiting in lines for hours and fighting in parking lots? The one that supposedly changed fast food forever? Former workers described being pressured to keep up with demand by any means necessary. Pre-cooking chicken and holding it under heat lamps for hours. Using oil that hadn't been changed in days. Skipping temperature checks to keep the line moving. One manager from a Texas location said they were told to rotate older chicken to the bottom of the warming trays and put fresher pieces on top. As long as it looked good from the customer's view, it was fair game, he said. That crispy golden chicken breast might have been sitting under a heat lamp since breakfast. Even the sides tell their own story. Those red beans and rice that are supposed to give you that authentic New Orleans experience? They start as dehydrated flakes in a bag. Add hot water, stir, and serve. One employee joked that making the red beans and rice was like making instant mashed potatoes, except with more artificial coloring and preservatives. The jambalaya follows a similar pattern. What should be a slow-cooked dish with layers of complex flavors becomes a rehydrated mix that gets heated up in a steam tray. A customer once posted a photo of their jambalaya that looked more like colored rice soup than the hearty traditional dish it's supposed to represent. Here's the wild part. Some of their so-called healthier items are actually worse for you than the classics. Take their blackened chicken sandwich. Sounds like a lighter option, right? Grilled instead of fried, seasoned with authentic Cajun spices. But that sandwich packs over 800 calories and nearly 1,600 milligrams of sodium. That's more than 2/3 of your daily limit in one sitting. Their seafood platter? A buttery mix of fried shrimp, fish, and crab cakes that sounds like a Gulf Coast feast. But it's one of the most calorie-dense items on the entire menu. Over 1,200 calories and more sodium than you'd find in 4 servings of canned soup. A friend of mine tried switching to the grilled chicken tenders to be healthier. He thought, hey, no breading, no frying, this must be better. What he got was chicken that had been sitting in marinade so long it had the texture of a sponge, charred on the outside and somehow still rubbery in the middle. And the sodium? Almost identical to the fried version. Speaking of sodium, one of Popeye's medium side dishes, the coleslaw, has more sodium than a large order of McDonald's fries. That's coleslaw. The side dish your grandmother used to make with cabbage, mayonnaise, and maybe a little vinegar. Popeye's version tastes like it was marinated in a salt mine. And then there's the infamous chicken sandwich combo. Remember that thing? The sandwich that broke the internet, plus fries and a drink. It's a meal, except the calories add up to more than most people should eat in an entire day. One combo has over 1,400 calories and enough sodium to make your blood pressure monitor file a complaint. But what really surprised me was the dessert situation. You'd think dessert would be the safest part. A simple apple pie. Maybe some cinnamon sticks. How bad could it be? Pretty bad, apparently. Their apple pie has 22 grams of sugar, and that's just one small pie. Their cinnamon apple turnover? Over 300 calories. That's like eating a candy bar, but with pastry. The sugar isn't just in the desserts either. One of their dipping sauces, the sweet heat sauce, contains over 8 grams of sugar per packet. That's more sugar than in a chocolate chip cookie. Dip your chicken in a few of those, and you're basically eating dessert disguised as dinner. The psychology behind it all is almost impressive. Popeyes wants to convince you that you're getting authentic Louisiana cooking, made with traditional recipes and Southern hospitality. But what you're actually getting is a fast food version of Cajun cuisine that's been re-engineered, dehydrated, frozen, and reheated until it barely resembles the original. My cousin from New Orleans once said, Popeyes is to Louisiana food what a postcard is to actually visiting. Technically accurate, but completely missing the soul. And let's talk about their family meals. A family feast that used to sound like a celebration. Gathering around the table, sharing food, making memories. Now it sounds like a nutritional nightmare. One 12-piece family meal contains enough calories to feed a football team. Add in the sides and biscuits, and you're looking at over 4,000 calories. That's nearly 2 days worth of food for most people. But the marketing says family dinner, a bonding moment, Louisiana tradition. And sure, everyone's bonding. Over heartburn and food comas. A friend of mine tried feeding his family only Popeyes for a week just to see what would happen. He figured it was easier than cooking, and the kids loved the chicken. By day 3, his kids were asking for vegetables. That's when you know something's wrong. The youngest said, "Dad, this chicken makes my stomach hurt." Out of the mouths of babes. His grocery bill went down, but the cost of antacids, energy drinks to fight the food comas, and general misery went way up. By the end of the week, he'd spent more money than usual and felt like he'd been hit by a truck made of grease and artificial seasonings. But here's the part that really makes you pause. The oil quality. Popeyes says they use premium oils for that perfect golden crunch. But former employees and health inspectors have told a different story. Some locations reportedly use oil that's been filtered and reused for days, even weeks. And not just reused, but mixed with fresh oil to stretch it further. One employee said, "The oil would get so dark it looked like motor oil, but as long as the food came out golden, management didn't care." That's not cooking. That's just hoping the seasoning covers up whatever's happening in that fryer. One of the scariest things is how little the average customer knows about what goes into that crispy coating. Most people assume it's just chicken and flour with some Cajun spices. But when you actually look at the ingredient list for that signature breading, it gets weird fast. Monosodium glutamate, sodium aluminum phosphate, calcium silicate. Words that sound more like a chemistry experiment than a family recipe. Let's talk about the chicken itself, the birds that become your dinner. Popeyes sources from massive industrial operations where chickens are packed into warehouses so tightly they can barely move. These aren't the free-range happy chickens from the commercials. These are birds that have been bred to grow so fast their legs can barely support their weight. The chickens are pumped full of antibiotics and growth hormones, then processed in facilities that prioritize speed over sanitation. A former worker at a processing plant that supplied Popeyes said the line moved so fast that proper inspection was impossible. Chickens with bruises, infections, or other issues would just get mixed in with the rest. The attitude was, the seasoning will cover it up. And then there's the breading process. That signature crunch isn't just from the coating. It's from chemicals designed to create maximum texture and sound. Because apparently the crunch is almost as important as the taste when it comes to social media videos and customer satisfaction. Their promotional items are another level of cynical. Every few months, Popeyes rolls out some wild new limited-time item. A chicken sandwich with ghost pepper sauce. Chicken tenders shaped like hearts for Valentine's Day. Cajun turkey for Thanksgiving. These aren't culinary innovations. They're marketing stunts designed to go viral on social media. People line up, take photos, post them online like they just discovered buried treasure. But when the cameras are off and the novelty wears off, they're left holding a sandwich that tastes like artificial heat and regret. Now let's talk about the beverages. You walk in thinking you'll get a chicken meal and a small drink. But those drinks are never small. Popeye's idea of a small is what used to be a large back in the 1990s. One medium sweet tea can contain over 70 grams of sugar. That's like drinking 3 candy bars and then wondering why you feel jittery and crashed an hour later. They push meal upgrades constantly. Would you like to make that a large? For just $1 more, you can upgrade to the family size. It's not just upselling, it's portion distortion disguised as value. And if you think you can outsmart the system by choosing water, good luck. Some locations don't even have free water cups visible. You have to ask for one, and when you do, they give you a tiny cup that looks like it came from a pediatrician's office. It's barely enough to wash down a biscuit, let alone quench your thirst after all that sodium. Let's not forget about the marketing itself. The entire Popeyes brand is built on Louisiana authenticity, Cajun spices, Southern hospitality, that folksy charm promising you a taste of New Orleans. But here's the thing, it's not authentic, it's not fresh, it's not even particularly Louisiana anymore. The entire brand is owned by a multinational corporation that also owns Burger King and Tim Hortons. It's about as Louisiana as a boardroom in Toronto. The commercials make it look like there's a Cajun grandmother in the back seasoning your chicken with love and tradition. In reality, it's a teenager pulling frozen chicken out of a bag while checking TikTok. And then there's the chicken shortage issues. Remember those? A few years back, some locations literally ran out of chicken. That's like a gas station running out of gas, or a coffee shop running out of coffee. How does the Louisiana kitchen run out of chicken? Turns out, when your supply chain is stretched across multiple countries and relies on just-in-time delivery, one hiccup can shut down the entire operation. Customers showed up for that famous chicken sandwich and left with disappointment and maybe a biscuit if they were lucky. The worst part might be how normal all of this has become. We joke about it. We expect the food to be processed. We expect to feel sluggish afterward. We expect it to be loaded with chemicals and preservatives, but we eat it anyway because it's convenient and familiar. Except it's not really convenient. Not when you factor in the long-term costs. The doctor visits, the blood pressure medication, the energy crashes, the digestive issues. That chicken sandwich might cost $6 today, but what about the hidden costs 10 years from now? A friend of mine decided to give up Popeyes for a full month just to see what would happen. She wasn't trying to make a statement or start a health kick. She just got tired of feeling like a grease sponge every time she ate there. The first few days were rough. Her cravings kicked in hard. Every commercial, every billboard, even the smell of frying oil from other restaurants felt like a siren song. Her car kept pulling into the Popeyes parking lot out of habit. She had to physically steer away like she was avoiding a toxic ex. By the end of the first week, something surprising started to happen. She stopped feeling bloated all the time. Her skin started clearing up. That weird coating on her tongue after every meal? Gone. She said her energy levels felt consistent throughout the day, instead of spiking and crashing like a broken roller coaster. The biggest change, though, was mental. She realized how much of her eating had become automatic. She wasn't hungry when she pulled into that drive-thru. She was bored, or stressed, or just driving past and thinking, why not? That why not had been costing her $80 a month and making her feel worse with every bite. When the month ended, she thought she might go back. Just one meal for old time's sake. She walked in, stood in line, and smelled that familiar fried air. And something strange happened. It didn't smell like food anymore. It smelled like chemicals and oil and artificial seasonings. She turned around and walked out without ordering. She said, "It felt like visiting an ex and remembering why you broke up in the first place." That's the power of taking a break. It resets your taste buds. It clears the fog. It lets you see what you're actually eating instead of what the commercials want you to believe you're eating. We're not saying you should never eat at Popeyes again. This isn't about shame or judgment. This is about awareness, about understanding what you're putting into your body, about knowing that the smiling face of Louisiana hospitality doesn't mean the food on your plate is made with care, tradition, or even basic quality ingredients. It means someone figured out how to sell you comfort food in a box with a logo and a marketing campaign. One nutritionist I spoke to put it perfectly. She said, "Fast food doesn't just feed your hunger. It feeds your habits. It rewards your brain with salt, fat, and artificial flavors in the exact ratios that make you want more." That's not cooking. That's food engineering. They're not trying to nourish you. They're trying to create customers for life. Every crunch, every bite, every perfectly seasoned piece of chicken. It's all designed to make your brain light up like a slot machine and keep you coming back for more. Even their slogans play into it. Love that chicken from Popeyes. It's not about the quality of the food. It's about creating an emotional connection to a brand. And once you love something, you stop asking questions about what it's actually doing to your body. But here's a fun challenge. Try making your own fried chicken at home. Real chicken, real flour, real oil that gets changed after one use, not after frying 1,000 other meals. It will take longer, it will be messier, but it will taste like food again. Not a product, not a brand, not something that comes in a greasy box with a side of regret. Food that was made with intention, not engineered in a laboratory. Or go even simpler. Find a local restaurant that takes pride in their cooking, not their marketing budget. Support places that source their chicken locally, that change their oil regularly, that make their sides from scratch instead of rehydrating powder mixes. Because when you strip away the packaging and the commercials, food should be something that gives to your body, not takes away from it. Something that fuels your day, not drains your energy. Something that's made with care, not just designed to trigger cravings. Popeyes will always have a place in American culture. For some, it's tied to memories. Road trips. That one time your uncle brought a bucket to the family reunion because he forgot it was his turn to cook. And that's fine. But memories don't have to dictate your daily habits. You can remember something fondly without needing to relive it every week. You can appreciate the nostalgia without poisoning yourself with artificial preservatives and industrial-grade sodium. So the next time you're driving past that orange and red sign, ask yourself one simple question. Is this what I really want? Or is this just what I've been trained to crave? Because there's a big difference between hunger and habit. One feeds your body. The other feeds a billion-dollar industry that counts on you not asking questions about what's really in that crispy coating. If you made it this far, congratulations. You're already more informed than most people in the drive-thru line. What you do with that information is up to you. But whatever choice you make, let it be a real choice. Not an autopilot decision, not a comfort reflex. A conscious, intentional choice about what you're putting into your body. Because when it comes to what you eat, you deserve better than reheated chicken soaked in artificial seasonings and a marketing campaign disguised as Louisiana hospitality. You deserve food that's made with care, not just engineered for maximum profit and social media buzz. And if you still crave that fried chicken experience, maybe it's time to take back the recipe, your kitchen, your ingredients, your rules. You might not have 11 secret herbs and spices, but at least you'll know what you're eating. And that's worth more than any viral chicken sandwich ever offered. The choice is yours. But now at least, it's an informed choice. Because the truth isn't always served with a side of biscuits and sweet tea, but it's always worth knowing.